Okay, you know what this is. Let's just start in right away with number 20, which is Samia Bloodless. Samia is a singer-songwriter. I've been following her stuff for a while. She's been always really interesting to me. In this album, she worked with Jake Luppin, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He is the lead singer of the band Hippocampus. A lot of the rest of Hippocampus plays instruments on the album and tracks here or there. I also wanted to point out the collaboration with Christian Lee Hudson, a singer-songwriter that I also really like, who's collaborated with other musicians I love, like Phoebe Bridgers. This Samia album is full of mellow grooves and really clever wordplay. She's got some excellent heady lyrics if you want to pay a little closer attention. But the question that I want to ask, does her mom listen to her music? If you don't know who her mom is, look it up or watch this video where we discovered it in real time who her mom was. Anyway, if you want to check out one song, start with North Poles. Bloop boop boo. Bloop doop doo. Bloop doop da boo. Sleigh Bells is guitarist and producer Derek Miller and vocalist Alexis Krauss. This is highly caffeinated pop rock with like metal drumming and really heavy rock guitars. It's so much fun to listen to. What I love about this album is that there are constant surprises in the production. It's almost hyper pop-ish the way everything works, but it definitely sounds more rock because they've been doing this for longer than at least I'm aware of the term hyperpop existing. A lot of these songs have really sing-alongable choruses, like, your pop metal dreams came true. And Alexis's voice is great. And this is the kind of music that if I went to the gym, I mean, can you tell from these arms that I don't go to the gym? But if I went to the gym, this would be like excellent gym soundtrack for me. Check out the opening track, Bunky Pop. Anyway, hey everybody, I'm Michael. We're all used to year-end best of lists, and I wanted to make clear that these are just my favorites. It's not the rest of the group of people on this channel, just me. I'm not saying that these are the best. I'm just saying that these are my favorites. And they might not even be my favorites if I do this list again in a couple months. I find that my opinions on popular music change pretty quickly. This is just a snapshot of who I am right now and what I'm into. All right, let's move on. Little Simz is an English rapper. Now, I don't know much about rap or hip hop. I'm not really well versed in what makes a good rapper or what makes good rapping. So when I listen to hip hop, I am mostly listening to the production, and this album has really excellent production and it catches my ear. A lot of the production on this album has these retro James Bond-ish strings. They sound like, a 60s movie. And it's really, really cool and like slinky, sexy stuff. There are great strings, bass, and drums throughout the album. And there's some excellent collaborations on this album. New to me, Moonchild and Mira May, and especially my favorite of the people on this album that were introduced to me through this album, Obongjayar. Please forgive me if I mispronounced that. And there's some other people on here that I've loved for years and I'm glad to see here, like Sampha, Yukimi of Little Dragon, and the fantastic Moses Sumney. If you want to check out one song from this album, check out Flood. Especially check out the music video for Flood. It's beautiful. And links for all of these songs are below. This was a great year for music. One thing that I noticed happening a lot this year is that there are a lot of really interesting collaborations in a lot of these albums. But I have one little tangent that I want to go on. Do we like interludes? A lot of these albums have interludes that mostly, to my taste, don't add to the album. How do we all feel about interludes? Let me know in the comments. Wet Leg is an English rock band. This is their second album. There are a lot more love songs on this album than there were in their previous album. I like how there are a lot of really catchy songs. You wanna go for a drive. Really fun. But I think the hardest songs tend to be the best, especially Catch These Fists. Check that out in the link. Okay, before we move on to number 16 and onward, I want to go through some honorable mentions really quickly. First off, Perfume Genius Glory. Perfume Genius is a singer-songwriter who's been around for a while, but this album's a little bit more countrified than the last one, which I think is really interesting. Flock of Dimes, another singer-songwriter I really love. Jen Wasser's vocals are always fantastic, and she writes really good melodies to show off her vocals. In this album, the lyrics work really well with it. This album is also kind of countrified at points, and the pedal steel really gets me every time it shows up. Haim, I Quit, and I need to know, because I hear people saying both Heim and Haim. Let me know which one it is. I hear both. What I love about this album, in the notes that I was reading on it, one of the three sisters said, I don't know which sister it was. Maybe it was Rostam. And I think that's really funny. Like, Rostam is basically another member of Haim. And you can really hear his sound in this album, but it also still really sounds like their music. So it's high quality stuff all around. There's a great George Michael sample, and Justin Vernon shows up, Bon Iver shows up in one track and co-wrote a couple more, so that's pretty fun. Do you like Paramore? Do you like Charlie Bliss? Do you like some 2000s and 2010s emo bands? Check out Beach Bunny. This is cute, very rom-com-y pop rock, and I would especially check out Vertigo. All right, commercial break time. Are you enjoying this video? Please let me know by giving it a like. Let me know your favorites of the year in the comments below. I'd love to learn new stuff, and I like trying things that I haven't heard before. In fact, I have intentionally been avoiding going through anyone else's best of lists until after I film this. So I'm excited to dive into what everyone else liked this year. So add to my list, please. On this channel, we mostly do retro reviews of music and video games, and we talk about other topics related to that. But I do throw in a couple current videos each year, including this year-end favorites video that I always do. Anyway, let's get back to it. Water From Your Eyes is sort of mind-bending experimental rock. There's some, what I like to call metric fuckery that happens in a lot of these songs. And there's some fun tuning and harmonic stuff going on too. It's kind of hard to tell which song I want to recommend for this, but I would start with Life Signs. More hip-hop with immaculate production. These guys always have the best produced hip-hop albums. This is a concept album about how the internet is a tool of capitalists to keep us separated and isolated, and so that we don't have the time or energy to band together and rise up against them. This is the kind of album that I recommend you listen to several times to catch the lyrics. Vocalist David Diggs does some really, really interesting stuff in his rhyme schemes, and there are little clever jokes in there all over the place. Give this one a close listen and maybe give it more than one shot. But if you want to get just a taste first, I would check out Dodger. That one's so high energy. Madison Cunningham is an excellent singer-songwriter with a fantastic voice. This album sort of lives in a world between Joni Mitchell and Fleet Foxes, with a dash of cabaret, especially in the instrumentation. And I'm not saying Fleet Foxes just because Fleet Foxes shows up on one track, but I was having a hard time placing exactly what a lot of the music reminded me of until I got to that Fleet Foxes track. It's like, oh, that's what it is. But I also wanted to say, have you ever respected an artist or band's music, but nothing's really clicked with you? Until you heard one song that you really loved and that made the whole album click. For me, the one that made the whole album click is Break the Jaw. That song made me love the rest of this album, and that's the one I recommend you check out first. Sudan Archives is a little bit difficult to label. Is it pop? Is it dance? Is it R&B? Is it hip hop? Yes, all of the above. Certain songs are more one genre than another, but she does a really interesting blend of all this music, and what I really love is that a lot of these songs are accompanied by her on violin, and she is a self-taught violinist, which is pretty dang impressive. Very cool. This album also has some of the best production of this year. To get a taste for it, I would start with the first track, listen to Dead, and hear how the song really slowly builds throughout. It's gripping, I think. Hannah Francis is a multi-instrumentalist singer-songwriter and also a poet and a dancer, which I think is really cool. A lot of these songs are very folksy guitar and banjo infused songs that have these really dense lyrics that also benefit from paying close attention to or listening more than once. Daniel Rawson from Grizzly Bear helped out with a couple tracks. If you know Daniel Rawson from Grizzly Bear or any of his other stuff or his solo work, you know that his instrumentation is always immaculate, and this album sort of matches with that style. Check out Life's work. It's the most straightforward song on the album, and that's neither positive nor negative. I like that there's a range of feelings in this album. This is country, but it's real country. It's not bro country. On this album, there are songs about eating the rich, songs about how to survive in Appalachia, and songs about who you might bite if you got rabies. When we talk about collabs, Nick Sanborn of Sylvan Esso does some production and engineering help on this album and plays a couple instruments here and there. And Amelia Meath of Sylvan Esso has some background vocals on a couple tracks. But when it comes to vocals, Tyler's voice is so great. If I have to recommend one, I have to recommend Bite and List. It's so fun. Check that one out. Rosalia is a singer-songwriter who is constantly challenging herself. In the past, she's challenged herself with flamenco. I mean, that's what she studied. But she's had some experiments with hyperpop and reggaeton. And now, with this album, she's challenging herself with European classical music. In this album, she sings in a lot of languages. It's mostly Spanish, but she does sing in English a little bit of German, and a little bit of Italian, and a little bit of Portuguese. Not all of it's the most successful, but I really appreciate that she's always challenging herself. That's one of the things that I love about her most. The songs on this album are the best when they strike the right balance between pop, folk, and classical. When she nails that balance, it could be either really exciting or really moving. There's some collaborations on this album from two really excellent composers that I love, Caroline Shaw and Angelica Negron. And again, please correct me if I'm mispronouncing anything. My Spanish is not good. But Shaw and Negron do some arrangement and production on some of these songs, and those songs I think are really exciting. But there's also Pharrell on this album. He helped out a little bit. I would check out Reliquia, which is one of the songs with the Caroline Shaw arrangement. Bon Iver is a veteran at this point of the singer-songwriter genre, and his style has changed a lot throughout his career. Started off with very much like just a guy and his guitar stuff, where he was known for either his ethereal falsetto or his rich baritone. Then later he went on to more orchestrated stuff, and including some things that were tastefully cheesy, like Phil Collins-ish is what I always say. After that, his style moved on to including some sampling that made it have a sort of hip-hop flavor to it. This album kind of brings all of those together at different points, and I think the spot where they meet in the middle most comfortably is in country gospel, which is not what I would have expected to work, but I think it works really well. Again, there's some great collabs on here. Jen Wassner, or Flock of Dimes, is on a lot of tracks singing backup vocals and playing some instruments. Danielle Hames on a couple tracks, and it's got Jacob Collier. And it's got Dijon, who's new to me. I would start with Everything is Peaceful Love, one of the most feel-good songs of the year. Geese makes me excited about the future of rock. Nobody is doing it like them right now. This album has some incredible vocals, and most of the songs are pretty groove-focused. I would recommend not listening to it expecting to hear verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. I mean, there are those things that exist, but I would say just feel the music with them, get swept up in the moods. A lot of these moods are pretty intense, but it's a good listen for sure. And I would say that some of these songs have almost like a folk protest song structure. They might not sound like it in the style, but I don't know, like I feel like Bob Dylan would have structured a song the same way that, for example, 100 Horses is. And that's the one I would recommend you would listen to first. Kesha's back, and she's free. Pop royalty Kesha finally got out of her record deal, and this is her first record as an independent artist. If you've been listening to Kesha lately, you would expect to find some self-empowering songs, but we've also got some of her old-fashioned songs dealing with self-destructive behavior. The album's really fun, and through a lot of it, she reminds you that her voice is actually really great. I would check out the first track, Freedom. It starts off completely different from the rest of the song, but by the time the piano's in, you'll want to drop it, bitch. Pup is a pop-punk band, and they lean a bit more on the punk side on this album, at least more so than they have in their past couple albums. This is an album full of songs that are really fun to shout-sing along with. These guys are so witty, too. There's some great collaborations on this album as well, including Jeff Rosenstock, and Illuminati Hotties is on one track, hidden in the background vocals. More collabs with Illuminati Hotties, please, because she's fantastic. If you want to scream along with a song, I would recommend you check out Best Revenge. All right, here we go with my bad Spanish again. Silvana Estrada is a Mexican singer-songwriter. On this album, you will find some of the best singing of the year. Her voice is so agile and delicate and emotive. Even though I don't speak the language, I'm moved. Also on this album, you'll find some of the best string arrangements and production of the year. This album is beautiful. It'll sweep you away. I'm torn on what I want to recommend for this album. I could recommend a song that has incredible string arrangements like Un Rayo de Luz. I could recommend a song with biting vocals and a really cabaret-ish production in the other instruments that make it really fun, like Good Luck, Good Night. Or I could recommend a really simple song that is just incredibly gripping, like it'll have you holding your breath, like El Alma Mia, which is I think the one that I want to recommend. Listen to that one. Queer hardcore dance rock industrial band. If you listen to their previous album, Dog's Body, and compare it to this one, you'll find that Cole sings a lot more on Pirouette than he did on Dog's Body. As he did in Dog's Body as well, there's a lot of vulnerability that Cole shows in this album, even though the instrumentals from the rest of the band are often really harsh and heavy. But a lot of this album is still really dancey, like you want to move to these songs. They're incredible live. I saw them about a month ago. Cole had the audience in the palm of his hand. There was one point when we all got on the ground because Cole did. He didn't ask us to, we all just did it, and it felt like the right thing to do. I was so into the performance that I didn't mind that we had to wait for several costume changes from Cole during the show. It's a fun show. You should see them live if you can. And if you want an example of what I love about this band, check out Diva. Baths is an electronic pop singer-songwriter. All of Bath's products have incredible production. This album has a lot of songs about the queer experience, and they completely gut me, no pun intended, for the album title. If I pay too close attention to this album, I will be weeping by the end. I am so moved by it. If you know Bath's previous stuff, I think this album is really interesting in that it uses a little bit more acoustic instrumentation than previous albums. And I guess I'll recommend one of the lighter songs on the album. Check out Eden. Divorce is an English band doing apparently Americana, a lot of people have said. It's somewhere between folk and rock. I guess Americana makes sense, but they're not American, so I don't know, that doesn't feel right. One of the most exciting things about Divorce is that they have two lead singers, Felix and Tiger. The songs that Felix leads tend to be more about trying to be the best person you can and the best friend you can, and I want to be the kind of person that Felix sings about in a lot of his songs. Many of Tiger's songs are about coming into their full self and their queer identity. There's some really moving emotional stuff that happens in there. Overall, there are great vocals from the two of them and the other two band members, Adam and Casper, when they sing as well. One of the things that I really love about this band is that they just seem like they're actually the best friends and they love each other very much. They're so incredibly in sync with each other. Like in one track, there is a little vocal flourish from Felix that Tiger matches perfectly in harmony. That must have taken a lot of practice, but I've seen videos of them performing live and doing that. And the one that I gotta recommend from this album is my favorite song of the year. Check out Hangman. All right, that's it for my top 20. Again, let me know what your favorites are and give this video a like if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. Up here is another video that YouTube thinks you might like, so check that out. Down here is a playlist of other videos about music if you want to hear more of our opinions on stuff. Anyway, that should be about it. Happy holidays and maintain your groovy selves.